All right. Hello, everyone, and happy Friday. My name is Morgan Heidsma with Scott Leroy Marketing, and today's class, we're going to be talking about our DocuSign account. So if this is your first time getting used to your DocuSign or even your first time jumping into your KW Command platform, your DocuSign connection is going to allow you to be able to send out forms to get signatures from your clients. So as we're taking a look right here where we have the KW Command login screen, before I jump in to the KW Command platform, just note that today's class is going to be recorded here and can be found on our YouTube page. I'm going to go ahead and drop that link in the chat box down below for you. Typically takes about 24 hours or so for it to process and upload. However, you should be able to find this recording on this link here. Now, as we are kind of taking a look here, we also have the this chat box down below as well. If you have any questions throughout today's training, please feel free to use this chat box. I'll do my best to stop in real time and help address those. If by chance I miss any questions, just know that I'm going to stay at the end of class here today to help address those as well. Last but not least, if we're navigating through the DocuSign portion or really any portion through your KW Command platform and you're running into any issues, please feel free to reach out to us at support@scottleroymarketing.com. We'll be happy to jump in, take a look at your account, and see what we can do to get it fixed for you. Now, as we're taking a look here, we are on the KW Command login screen. So again, this is going to be agent.kw.com. What we're going to be doing here is we're going to be navigating through our KW Command platform as well as our DocuSign. So we're actually going to be able to see how to connect it as well as get it set up and utilized through our KW Command platform. All right, so as we're taking a look here, we're going to go ahead and sign in underneath Scott's command here. Again, it's going to be agent.kw.com. And once you log in using your KW username and password, you should be taken to your dashboard here, your KW Command homepage. And before we navigate to the actual DocuSign portion, which is going to live inside of our opportunities, we're going to want to make sure that everything is set up and connected correctly before we actually get to the process of utilizing this. So for this right here, all we'll have to do is click on our name on the top right-hand corner here. It should bring up a drop down here for us, and we're going to choose the settings option right here. As we are taking a look at the settings page right here, there's going to be a number of different third-party applications that we can go ahead and connect, like our Facebook if we're utilizing Facebook. Same with our Twitter, Gmail, Office, things like that. Again, essentially, if you have it, you can go ahead and connect it here. One of the features that is going to be a little bit different here is actually going to be our DocuSign setting. Now, this is actually going to be where we go to initiate our KW branded DocuSign account. Now, this is pretty important because as we are navigating through the KW Command platform, and as we are talking about connecting our DocuSign here, unfortunately, if you have a paid DocuSign account already set up underneath your email, or if you have a free DocuSign account, say if you purchased a home a few years ago and you use DocuSign, unfortunately, any of those third-party DocuSign accounts, those personal accounts, will be incompatible to be utilized within our KW Command platform. The reason for this is the KW branded DocuSign accounts are specifically designed for our KW Command platform. There's going to be a section within this called DocuSign Rooms, which isn't going to be available for your paid or personal versions. So as we're taking a look right here, this is how we initiate our KW branded DocuSign account. Now, I'm already connected, so I'll just go ahead and disconnect here. Where you'll typically find this is going to be underneath the digital signature and transactions section. So as we are going through here and as we are kind of taking a look, we'll have a connect account button on the right-hand side here. All we'll have to do is give this a click. And what you should typically see is your first name, last name, as well as your preferred email address. Now, in the world of logins here, we're missing our password. So just note that this is going to be about half of the setup here for us to create that KW branded DocuSign account. Once we send the registration email to this account here, DocuSign is going to send you an email where you can create that password as well as a security question. So think of this as part one. We're going to send the email. The email is going to be part two where we complete that login. And then once we've completed that password and security question, we'll just come back over here and just make sure that everything's connected a full circle. So what I can do here, I'll click on connect account one more time. Again, if you're trying to use a personal email address that's already associated with a DocuSign account outside of KW, you may get an ugly red error down below here. And you may get one of two errors that pop up. You may get an error that's probably about one sentence long. And this typically means that you already have a DocuSign account underneath. You already have a KW branded DocuSign account underneath this email. So all you'll need to do is sign in or reset your password. Now, if you have the second error down below here where it's pretty much about a paragraph long or a good few sentences, this typically means that unfortunately that email address is just incompatible. You'll have to use a different email. Last but not least, since we already have a KW DocuSign account, there's a login here button, and we can just bypass that registration if we already have a KW branded DocuSign account. I can click login here, and then I can enter in my my email and password. And then what it should do is it should connect this full circle for us. What's really important is that pop-up there. If you're using a browser, if you're using a browser like Safari or Internet Explorer or Edge, things like that, we have seen situations where that pop-up may not be presented here for you. That's really how we get that connected. So we kind of stress that that Google Chrome or even possibly Firefox may be the best browsers to use for this. Now again, if yours isn't working for you, no worries. Just please feel free to reach out to us, support@scottleroymarketing.com. What we can do is we can jump in, we can kind of take a look and see if we can get that reconnected for you. Now, as we're taking a look here, this kind of happened pretty quickly. Once I clicked connect right here, we had a pop-up on the very top that said that your DocuSign is now connected and can be found within your opportunities section inside of KW Command. So now that we have this connected here, before we navigate away, really quickly, if you're ever wondering what email address this is connected to, we can kind of identify this here. Now, it may not show us the domain that this is connected at gmail.com or at kw.com. However, it should give you a good indication on what email address is presented or connected here through your DocuSign account. Now that we have our DocuSign account connected, the second thing would be to create a contact and an opportunity. Just keep in mind that we do have full in-depth classes on these different topics here. I'm just going to start off jumping into a brand new opportunity here from a contact that I already have in my database. So in this case right here, I'm just going to go ahead and click on the red KW square in the top left-hand corner. What this should do is this should open up our left-hand icons here so we can read them a little bit easier. And we're going to navigate over to the contact section right here. Now, I already have a contact right here that I can go ahead and create an opportunity for. I'll go ahead and give this a click here. And at this point, I can either create an opportunity from the contact card, or I can go directly to our opportunities section inside of KW Command and navigate and create an opportunity and navigate that way. In this case right here, I'm just going to go ahead and go to our opportunities. I'm going to create a brand new opportunity underneath that same fake name that we saw there. We're going to choose a listing opportunity. And then client will be that client, that contact that we just saw. There we go. And as far as everything else goes, I'm just going to create this as a test opportunity for now. We'll go ahead and click on create here. It's going to end up in the cultivate watch stage, which again would be as if a cold lead were to click on your social media ad and you captured their information. However, we haven't quite reached out or engaged with them just yet. So I have a listing opportunity right here that we just created. From here, there's a few different things that we can kind of take a look at. So on the left-hand side, you'll have all the information that we entered about this opportunity. So again, the contact name, the listing, the commission rate, and so on. So we didn't enter too much on this opportunity, but enough to create it here. As we're taking a look inside of our specific opportunity here, let me go ahead and edit this to 123 Main Street. That way we can identify this this opportunity a little bit easier here. So now that we have 123 Main Street as our opportunity, I'm going to navigate over past the marketing section over to the document section inside of our opportunity here. And from here, this is where our DocuSign connection will really take place. Now, if we create a brand new opportunity, you may have nothing here at the very beginning. What we're going to first need to do is click a checklist type. And full disclosure, once I click on this checklist type, my checklist may be a little bit different than yours. That is to be expected, as your market center is the one that creates these checklists, okay? So I'm going to click pick checklist type. I'm going to choose for this demonstration a residential listing. And once you choose that checklist type, it should give you a checklist that your market center is asking for in terms of all these documents right here. So if I scroll all the way up here, you can see the status has not been uploaded. The requirement is required. The document title right here that your market center is specifically looking for, and the type of form that this document is. Last but not least, on the right-hand side right here, you have drop your files here from your computer, or you just click to browse. Now, so far, all we have is the ability to attach files from our computer. How we go ahead and connect our DocuSign is going to be right above this section. It's going to be the Start a Transaction button here. Now, you may only see this active if we have successfully connected our DocuSign within our settings here. If you're not seeing this available, if it's grayed out, or if it's not here at all, chances are we may need to go back to our settings and take a look at reconnecting here. But as we're taking a look right here, we do have this. We did connect our DocuSign, and we have the ability to click on Start a Transaction. This button will be one of two colors. It'll either be dark gray right here, or it'll look something similar to this button up top here, where it's like white and blue text right here. The dark gray button means that you do have DocuSign connected. However, this opportunity has yet to create a DocuSign room. Once we create that DocuSign room, it'll turn white and blue, and that's your indication that there is a successful DocuSign connection with this opportunity. So we'll go ahead and see this in real time here. I'm going to click Start a Transaction. I'm going to choose DocuSign right here. Again, if you don't have .loop as an option, just by clicking Start a Transaction, we'll open this up for you. We'll open this up into a new tab here. And this is going to create these DocuSign rooms for us. Now, again, as we're taking a look here, you may not have files at the very beginning here. This is something that your market center will set up. So your market center does have the ability to auto-populate or pre-pull forms in here for you. But more often than not, you may see it look something similar to just a blank page like this. And as we're taking a look at this blank page, what we see when we come back to our opportunity is this button did indeed change back to this kind of color that I was talking about. And now at a glance, anytime we need to jump in here, we can say, okay, yes, there is a DocuSign room connected. I can just go ahead and jump in and continue on my work here. Now, as we're taking a look at DocuSign, we have made it inside of our DocuSign here. So again, if you're ever wondering where do I go to get to my DocuSign, it's going to be through your opportunities inside of KW Command. Now, once we're inside of a DocuSign room here, it's going to start you off in documents, very similar to where we were inside of our opportunity. This is where I kind of like to identify as my home page within my DocuSign room, because as we take a look on the left-hand side, we have our details, people, envelopes, messages, and history. So all of this right here are options underneath this 123 Main Street that we just created. So again, we never have to worry about confusing different rooms with different transactions or things like that, because it's all going to be housed individually with each opportunity. Now, as we're taking a look at DocuSign right here, probably one of the most important things that we need to do at the very beginning is connect our market center and our board forms. So at the very top right-hand corner here, I'm going to go ahead and click on my headshot or my initials here, and then I'm going to move over to preferences. Now, keep in mind, when I navigate outside, I'm going to leave this opportunity. I'm going to leave this DocuSign room right here, but no worries, we'll be able to get back here in a couple different ways. So first, we'll click on preferences here. Once we're inside of preferences, on the left-hand side, you'll have about 4 different clickable options here, 5 including the profile that we're landing on right now. We're going to choose the integrations option. And this should allow us to connect our market center as well as our board forms. So as we're taking a look right here, you'll see that I do have my company forms already connected. But if you're seeing a blue if you're seeing a blue button that says add provider and you're not seeing any providers available yet, this just means we need to connect to get our forms. So as we click add provider right here, this will be the pop-up that we typically see. There's going to be 2 options here for us. So the first option that I would suggest is clicking on this text right here that says continue to company forms without validation. This will allow you to pull in your market center forms. So your forms that your market center set up for you. And that's what you see right here. When I gave that a click, it'll pop up right here and you see your company forms. The second option is to connect your association, right? So we have a couple different associations right here. We also have the Realtor Association. So again, if you have your NRDS number, your last name, and then your association type, we can go ahead and connect that, and that should pull in your board forms. Now, finally, there's one last option here, and that's going to be your zip form. So for the market centers that are still utilizing zip forms to pull in their forms, we have the option at the very top right here. All we have to do is click on this blue arrow, and we can go ahead and sign in using our zip forms username and password. We'll hit save, and at this point, you'll be able to not only pull in forms from your zip forms libraries, but I believe you'll also be able to pull in forms from your transactions folders as well. So this will allow you to, if you're halfway through creating a document on zip forms, you can actually pull it over to DocuSign here and continue filling it out to send it off to get signatures. So this DocuSign Rooms is really a one-stop shop for you to create, fill out, send out for signatures, and have your forms come back for you to upload to your market center. Now, as we've connected this right here, we've actually exited outside of our DocuSign rooms. So you'll see another section, Dashboard, Rooms, Inbox, and My Documents right here. All of these are options outside of those DocuSign rooms that you're creating with your opportunities. If I were to go back to Rooms right here, we should be able to identify that 123 Main Street, as we see right here on the left-hand side. The room that we just created here. Now, when I clicked on that, it brought us to the details page, and no worries, we'll get to that in just a moment, but I'm going to navigate back to the document side, again, as our kind of DocuSign room homepage, so to say. We're taking a look here. We don't quite have any documents inside of our DocuSign room just yet. However, we can simply click the blue add button right here on the top right-hand corner, and we can pull in forms from our computer, our DocuSign forms, zip forms, as well as some third-party storage options. Where we went to connect our market center forms and our board forms, right? This is going to be housed underneath DocuSign forms. And of course, zip forms is going to be housed right underneath here. when we click on DocuSign Forms right here, you'll see a pop-up here, and you'll have a couple different options. You'll have packets right here on the left. You'll have libraries right below it. And on the right-hand side, you'll have all the forms that you can pick to choose to pull into your DocuSign room. We're going to get to packets here in a moment. Your Market Center as well as yourself, you're going to be able to pull in any one of these forms, create a template, and then use it as a packet here. It's a little bit easier to go through this as you guys have those visuals, but as we're scrolling down here to these libraries, you'll see that, again, you may not have as many options as I have here, but you should at least have your Market Center as well as your board form here. So again, at any point in time, if we needed a form here, we can go ahead and give this a click and we can add selected, and it'll pull that form into our DocuSign room right here. We'll do that again with a second form. You'll see as we pull a form in, we're not able to pull in multiple of the same forms. It'll just say in use, and we'll need to just kind of fill that out because, again, it's for that one transaction, right? Second, right here is you have an option to click a number of different forms and then pull them in. You'll also have the ability to preview these forms in case you're wondering what exactly these entail before we actually pull them into our DocuSign room right here. It'll say sample form, but once you pull it into your DocuSign room, that sample form will go away. Now, there's one last thing right here, and again, it'll be a little bit easier to kind of take a look when we're actually going through this, but within your packets, there is an opportunity for you and your Market Center to create templates. Let me see if any of these... Well, we'll get to that here in a moment, but if you have a template based off of a specific document right here, so for example, if I were to pull this document into my DocuSign room, it'll be a blank document for me to fill out. If I create a template off of this document, you'll have a drop-down option in between the eyeball and the title where you'll be able to choose the blank version or the template version. But as you see, I'm not quite seeing any of these templates right here, so we may have to actually go through this here in a moment. So let me just pull in one more form. So now we have two forms that we pulled in here. I'm just going to go ahead and refresh this page because what it should do is it should give me a picture right here on these two squares as well, so I can, again, easily identify these forms a little bit easier. All right, as we refresh this right here, we can go ahead and give this a click. We can see what this form looks like. And not only do we see what this form looks like, but you also have all these options right here where we can fill all of this information in. I would suggest what we should do here first is probably take a look at our details and our opportunity details, because what's really cool about this DocuSign, these DocuSign forms, is on the bottom right hand corner you see these icons that looks like a sheet of paper as well as the word form right here. What happens here is these are actually specifically curated forms. They're called DocuSign Power Forms, where whatever information that we enter into the details page right here, the details tab, will auto-populate into these power forms right here for you. So essentially, all you'll really need to do is complete your details, and then more often than not, a large portion of that information is going to be applied to these power forms here for you, so you don't have to spend a lot of time doing additional data entry. So as we're taking a look right here, one other thing to kind of keep in mind is if I have a, say, PDF, right? So if I have a PDF and I pull a PDF in, PDF will look something similar to this right here with a red icon. If we're pulling forms or PDFs into our DocuSign room from our computer, keep in mind that it won't have that digital capability to pull in information from that details tab. So again, the power forms are going to be the only ones that have the ability to do that. One last thing on this icon on the bottom corner here is when we send this out to get signatures and your clients sign these forms and they come back to your DocuSign room signed, this is also going to change to a green icon. So this is going to allow you to be able to easily identify which forms have not been completed and which forms are the signed completed ones that we can upload to our Market Center. So I'm going to zoom back out just a little bit here. There we go. And as we kind of take a look at this again, right next to the blue add button, you're going to have an option called actions here on the right-hand side. As we start to send out DocuSign forms to get signatures and have them come back, it may be worth it to create an additional folder here for you to separate or organize out your, say, signed documents versus your unsigned documents. And again, we can do that by clicking actions here. We can add folder. I can type signed right here, and you'll see that we'll now have two different folders. We'll have a signed folders and a room docs folder. You'll always have your room docs folder populate here. There's always going to be one folder here. But again, if you ever wanted to start moving and organizing your documents around, you'll have this ability right here. Now, going back to our details page, this is going to be the next thing that we're going to fill in, because the more details that we have, the more this is going to populate onto our form. So first and foremost, taking a look at our details page right here, you'll have pretty much a left-hand side, and then you'll have a right-hand side right here. So you'll see that you have a right-hand side. Your left-hand side is going to be primarily information about that listing, right? So here you'll have your address, your listing date, your offer details, that sort of information. On the right-hand side, you'll have your buyer and your seller information, your listing agent, your buyer agent. So here you'll be able to populate the individuals that are associated with this transaction. If you ever need to edit anything, we can click on this edit pencil on the top right-hand corner. Say if fake name was missing a letter right here, we can go ahead and adjust that and hit save, and that should adjust on your Power Forms as well. But before we spend too much time actually jumping in and filling out all the information here, I'd like to kind of take a look at another fantastic ability that your opportunities have to be able to pre-populate this here for you. So again, on the left-hand side right here, I'm going to make my way back to our opportunities. Since we're in the details section of our DocuSign room, we're going to go to the details section of our opportunity. Now, at this point right here, we're going to wait for this to finish loading up. Once we create a DocuSign room and connect it to this opportunity, you'll notice that our details have a new tag here that says synced. So here's all the information. It says synced right here. This means that whatever information is on this opportunity has synced over to our details tab right here. So as you see, 123 Main Street right here, we're on the listing side to create a listing opportunity. And our Market Center information is going to be right here as well as your fake name and contact information. So since we created this listing underneath fake name here, you'll see this here. And if we scroll down a little bit further, we should see Scott's information as well, because we're underneath Scott's account and he created the opportunity. So he's the listing agent. So going back over here to our DocuSign tab right here, this is a really cool feature that your listings have, is you have a button here that says select from listings. Now you won't have this option on the buyer side, unfortunately, but again, this is really geared more towards pulling in a listing for a listing transaction. But as we're taking a look right here, I'm going to move show only my listings to show all listings right here. And I'm just going to type in a 123 Main Street as an example here for us. So again, I can select any one of these right here. I'll just select this 123 Main Street. Now keep in mind right here, as we're taking a look, we'll be able to pull in all this information. So the listing price, the address, all this info right here. Once we hit select, you'll see all that pull in right here on the right-hand side. You see all that property information. Now, what will happen here is if we ever update anything within our opportunities, we'll need to refresh the page and then resync the transaction to your DocuSign room. So this information feeds over to that details in your DocuSign as well. So we'll hit refresh here. you'll see that now we have these orange tags here that says edited. What this means is that this information is new to your opportunity and has not yet been placed inside of your DocuSign just yet. We can simply fix that by clicking sync transaction right here. We'll refresh the page one more time here. And everything is resynced back to our DocuSign. So going back to DocuSign right here, you notice that we didn't have any listing information populate right here for us. But once we entered in all that information onto our opportunity, all we'll need to do is refresh here, and that should pull that information over here for us. So you see that 123 Main Street, US, Wisconsin, postal code, even the MLS information right here. So now we have some more context to this listing here with just clicking a few buttons. Now, the really cool thing about this is making our way back to our forms here. So going back over here to our DocuSign forms, let me go ahead and click on this one that we selected previously. So as you see, now we see that seller name, fake name came through, the email address came through, here's the listing information that came through. And again, we didn't have to spend time entering this in here for us. So again, name of the game is the more information that you have on your details, the more it's going to pre-populate here for you. Always start off updating your opportunity first and then syncing it through. Because again, you don't want to do double data entry by starting off on your DocuSign room here first. So now at this point, if I had any other information that I wanted to enter in about this listing here, so if I had a contract, if I had a contract date or anything similar, appointments, target, anything like that, I can go ahead and add this in as well. But for our demonstration here today, I think this is pretty good, a good amount of information for us to continue onward. Now, say we filled out all of the information needed for these documents right here. I'm going to move this back down to my room docs since it's not quite signed yet. If we filled out all the information that we needed on these documents right here, all we'll really need to do is click on the checkbox on the top left-hand corner. And what you'll see this is a pop-up, a menu happens right here in the middle of our screen. And again, it'll only show up if there's a DocuSign form checked, or if there's a form inside of your DocuSign room checked. And again, you'll have a number of different options right here. So again, if you wanted to print this off, you can print this form off. If you wanted to delete it, you can. If you wanted to archive it, which is that soft delete, you can. But what we're really looking for is this pen icon right here. So this will allow us to create an envelope to send this form out to get signatures. So as we click on create envelope here, the first thing that will populate is the number of buyers and sellers, anyone who's a part of this transaction right here. It may populate here for us. It may also populate any information that may be on that form, say if there's a buyer's agent, buyer 1 and buyer 2. In this case right here, this allows us to be able to say who is going to be signing this form. If I use buyer 1 to sign the form, then buyer 1's information will get added in for me, and I won't really have to manually enter that in. Since this is a listing, and since I didn't quite create a buyer for this listing right here, we're gonna back out. We're gonna create a buyer here really quick. Here's the seller 2. Buyer 1 right here, we're going to create a buyer here for us. So buyer 1, we're just going to name Sally Sue. All right, email@gmail.com. And then we're just going to hit save here. Again, since we didn't have that buyer information on our opportunities, we can enter that in right here. Again, that will translate over to our sheet here as well. And now that we have it, both a buyer and a seller on this document, it makes it a little bit easier for us to kind of take a look. So here's Sally Sue's information, and here's fake names information. So we got both sides of the transaction ready to ready to sign here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on that checkbox and then that create envelope right here. All right, once I create the envelope, you'll see that that our form pulls in right here. If you're curious on what an envelope is, it's essentially just an email. They use the same kind of lingo as if you were to manually fold up a document and put it in the mailbox to mail out. This would essentially be that, but in a digital format, aka an email. So as we're taking a look right here, we have one form that we pulled in. If by chance we wanted to pull in any other forms, we can do that as well. We can just simply click upload. And then again, we can browse from our computer. But in this case, I'm going to use that other document that we've added to our DocuSign room here. So I can click add room documents. And then I'll be able to kind of pull this in right here. Perfect. So now we have both of these documents that have been added into this envelope here. The next portion is going to be who is going to be receiving these forms to sign. Now, we only really have a buyer and a seller, so I'm going to get rid of one of these here. Taking a look here, again, you have buyer agent and buyer one. This was adjusted before we jumped in here to update this. But again, as we're kind of taking a look here, a couple things to note. So the first thing to note is what should populate here is really the name and email of the client that you're sending this to. So if I type in Morgan here, Morgan Heitzman, it already pre-populated here for me, but what it should do is it should search and it should pull up all the Morgan Heitzmas that I have in my contacts and be able to give me a suggestion on who to add here. So let's type in Scott here. So we type in Scott Leroy, we'll wait a second, it's going to refresh here for us, and that's going to pull in Scott's information for us to be able to add as that buyer's agent. There we go, support at Scott Leroy Marketing. And then the second agent will probably be, now again, I don't want you to be confused by the buyer right here because we are still working with the listing. So ignore that for just a second here. But as we're taking a look right here, we have a buyer one. So let's consider this listing agent and listing one here for today's demonstration. Again, we'll type in fake name. We'll give this a second here to load up. And if your contact doesn't load up here, keep in mind your DocuSign has a specific section for your I think it's called a directory or an address book. I think it's called an address book there. So this won't quite pull from the contacts inside of your command, but it will within your address book inside of DocuSign here. So we're gonna type in fake name and Scott Leroy right here. As we're taking a look right here on the right-hand side, you'll also have a number of options available for the individual. Does this person need to sign? Does this person only need to receive a copy? Is this something that just needs to be viewed? So you have a number of different options here for you. Again, if you need to adjust this, go ahead and do so. If this is an in-person signer, you may need to adjust that as well. But here we have both of our contacts essentially that need to sign this document up top here. Now, the other thing that I want to mention that's pretty important here is sometimes when we deal with technology, sometimes technology doesn't quite work always the way that we want them to. And I'm going to show you something here, which is a perfect example of that. But with us being the humans, the pioneers of this technology here, it's going to be up to us to be able to identify this and adjust it accordingly. So as you see right here, we have signer number 1 and signer number 2. You'll always want a steady timeline like that. So signer 1, signer 2, signer 3, signer 4. So you're always going to want a timeline here. So you never want anybody to be both signer 1 because that could mess up the timeline of sending this form onward to the next signers. But as we're taking a look right here, if by chance I looked at this and said, ooh, actually fake name needs to be signer number 1. If I move fake name up top here, watch what happens to my signing order. You'll see both actually adjusted to signer 1 right here. Now, again, this could cause complications as you're sending envelopes out. So again, kind of take a look. And if you don't see it, there's a checkbox right here that says set signing order. Again, we can simply click on that and uncheck it. So fake name needs to be signer number 1. Whoops, as you see it moved this back down to signer number 2, but it also adjusted it to 1 right here. So in this case, I'll just label Scott as signer number 2 here, and then that should adjust that accordingly here, okay? So so be mindful. It's a little tricky to catch this right here, but pretty important to note. Now, last but not least, what we have down below here is we have our message. And this is essentially what your client is going to see in that email. Truth be told, DocuSign does a pretty good job of setting up that email. It just essentially says, click here to sign your documents. But again, if you needed some additional context or if you want to adjust the subject line of that email, you can do so here. Must have signed back by end of day Friday, any additional context or anything that you might need to add that might help your client as they're going through or about to go through that signing process. Last but not least, one thing that's relatively new is going to be this bulk send option. So again, happened within the last couple, I think, few weeks or few months, but you have a manual input to bulk send a form or document to multiple people as well. So again, could be a great opportunity to be able to kind of send out mass signings. So we hit next right here on the very bottom right. And this is going to get us to that e-signature side where we can apply that signature and initials and date stamps, things like that. But before we get there, on the top corner here, you have a couple different options. So within your actions here, you have your save and close. So again, if we're not quite ready to move on to the next stage yet, we can go ahead and save and close this. Or at the end of today, if you're done with this test here, you can just simply click on discard. Moving over to the next button right here, you'll see that this is where we go to kind of apply things to our documents. Can you forward a signed offer to sellers again for their signatures? Well, I would say, I would check with, I'm not quite a compliance coordinator, right? So it's going to be hard for me to provide additional context to that. But I'm under the impression that all parties need to see that same document that's being signed in order for it to become valid and effective. However, I'm not a compliance coordinator, so I may suggest you reach out to your Market Center's principal reviewing broker just to kind of help ensure that that is the case. Also, does KW charge separately for the use of DocuSign? I do not believe so. I believe this is part of your tech fees that are integrated into the Market Center. So as far as additional costs, I don't believe there's any additional cost to utilize this. Fantastic questions. As we're taking a look at this right here, so there's going to be 3 sections that we typically see. So the first section is going to be the biggest one right here. So this is actually our document here. The left-hand side is going to be all of these action tools that we can apply to the document. And the right-hand side are going to be editable options for the specific tools that you choose. So as we see right here, we start off just kind of seeing all the pages of our document here. If I were to pull a signature over, you'll see the right-hand changes to all the options for that tool that I'm currently on. So Last but not least, on the top left-hand corner right here, you actually have the ability to toggle between your signer number 1 and signer number 2. And each signers will have their own unique color to help you be able to identify who is signing where on each location. Last but not least, on the right-hand side right here for these signs, you have an option that's required or not required. Anything that's in bold color right here, this means that this is a required field for your clients to sign before they can proceed forward. If I were to uncheck this required field, this means that these are both optional for your clients to sign. So taking a look right here, seeing that both of these are optionals, you still have a good color or a good indicator on who's going to be signing this. So again, signer 1's yellow, signer 2's blue. And moving downward right here, you'll see all of these gray boxes that, that we saw previously when we were filling out this document here. So one thing to kind of keep in mind is when we actually go to send this document out, your clients are not going to see these additional text options. These are really for you to fill in any last minute information before we send this on. So a great example is if I hit preview right here on the top right-hand corner, Scott will only see sign here, but you'll see that there's no additional options for those grayed out text boxes. Again, this is truthfully a last call if you need to adjust any info. So, so again, we have signer 1 and signer 2 right here. Again, we'll add these as both required fields here. So seeing that, that these are up top here, again, when we give a click to any of these, they should give you an option to size and resize. So if something is a little bit large for a specific section, we can always go ahead and shrink it down. I think that's probably about the smallest that it can be right here. But again, you do have that option available for you. Now, another thing to keep in mind is if you're applying a lot of signatures to a lot of locations here, we can simply right click and copy. And then of course you have your right click and paste right here. However, my personal favorite is the right click paste to location. So as say we scroll all the way down here and we need a signature down at the bottom right here, I can right click and I can paste to location right here. And that will allow me to not have to scroll all the way up or drag the signature all the way down, things like that. Now that we have a little bit more of a space to enter in right here, a couple other things to keep in mind is you have your initial. We'll go ahead and add the initial right here. Again, resizable. Your date signed, however, this is going to be a little bit different, and this is going to be something that I would say a little bit longer than what we would be used to in terms of us writing a date down. As we click on date signed right here, there's no ability to shrink or enlarge the tool here. If I click on preview and scroll back down to where that date signed was, you'll see that not only does it have a date stamp, but it also has a time stamp as well. So again, as we're dragging this date and time to a specific location, just keep in mind how long it is. And if it kind of cuts off, we may need to scoot it over or adjust it ever so slightly. So you do have that date stamp there, but it is limited in its terms of being able to be adjusted. Next you have your let's do a drop down right here. So this is also one of my favorites. We have a drop down option here. Again, on the right hand side, I can also choose it to be either signer 1 or signer 2, similar to up at the top here. As we are taking a look at your drop downs here, on the right hand side, I know there's a lot of options here for us, but they opened up the section that we actually need to create this checklist item. So it's actually going to be underneath options right here. You'll see that this is opened up for us. All we need to do is click add option right here. So I'm going to click option number 1, option number 2, and option number 3 right here. So, and then you have a default option, right? Like what default do you want this set as? I'm going to keep it on select for now. But again, really cool because I can just double click on this right here and I can see this in real time what it looks like. And again, if I want to say 1 is going to be the standard, that's what we need them. That's what I need it to represent is a 1 right here. Again, it'll show up as 1, or they can kind of adjust it to 2 or 3. All right, once we're happy with this document right here and we're ready to send it off to get signatures, all we'll really need to do is hit the send button right here. So I'll hit send. This is going to send that document over. And now what we see is it actually navigated us over to the envelope section within our DocuSign room. So again, keep in mind, the documents tab is where we kind of consider our home page. Moving 2 over is going to be where you send those envelopes, or where those envelopes are for you to check and monitor. Now, at this point, I have 1 envelope that I have already sent out. I can give this a click right here. I can see that we're currently waiting on this signer before it gets sent over to the second signer. So we can see where we're at in the process of all of these individuals signing this document. Again, if it's been a minute for signer number 1, I may reach out and just kind of touch base, see if they receive the form. If not, I can go ahead and click this resend button right here. Or last but not least, say that we accidentally entered in a wrong email address. That's why buyer 1 or signer number 1 is not receiving the email. We can simply click on correct right here, and it'll bring you back to the beginning of this signed document where we can enter in the email address and then continue onward to those changes. So maybe I missed an S at the end of this email right here. I can hit next right here. If I need to make any adjustments right here, but I'd say that's fine for right now. And I can hit correct on the bottom right-hand corner. It also gives you a correcting notification up top too. And then now we've corrected this envelope. So once we go ahead and give this a click here, you'll see name@emails.com instead of email. So now we can go ahead and correct. We can resend. This will be how you're able to kind of curb any adjustments that might be needed after the envelope has been sent out. All right, last but not least, see if I can kind of cover the My Documents section right here. So we're going to take a moment. We're going to step outside of the DocuSign room here, because again, everything above this title right here is outside of the DocuSign room. We're going to click on Documents right here. And this is going to be where we can add those packets for us. Your Market Center will also be able to add these packets as well. So again, if you see some packets that you're not quite familiar with, chances are your Market Center may have added those for you. But as we see right here, when we take a look at the very top corner here, all these sections are going to be the envelopes that have already been created. So here's the folders for sorry, the second thing right here down below are going to be the forms. So these are all the packets. I think I said envelopes, but I meant to say packets right here. The second below are going to be all the forms. So once you connect your Market Center and your board forms, we can go ahead and scroll through. We can view any of these forms that we want. We can view them, or we can create a template based off of them. So if you wanted to enter in specific information and be able to pull that in, you can. So once we create a template right here, then all we'll need to do is create a new packet, label the packet name, and then we'll select from our library here. So again, wherever that is, your Market Center or your board forms, we'll be able to go ahead and click on that and pull that in. And then once we utilize this right here, we can go ahead and hit save, and that will successfully pull that form in for you. Now I only chose one here. Again, if you wanted to add more forms into this packet right here, we can click on manage, and then we can select a number of different forms, right? So again, scrolling through here, you don't need to only select one. We can pull in a number of different forms to help us be able to create this packet. And again, being able to pull in those templates as well is absolutely fantastic, because now you have the ability to create just a buyer's packet, right? Or a seller's packet. And this should help you be able to not have to hunt and search for your packets every single time you create a new DocuSign room. Last but not least, I got 2 more minutes here. Our address book. So again, if you want to add in contacts to your address book, you'll be able to do so by clicking on your name on the top right-hand corner here. And then we'll click on contacts right here. Now you'll have a directory, and I believe this directory is contingent on your market center, right? So we're not, if you see names that you're not quite familiar with, that's perfectly fine. Yours is going to be underneath the address book right here, your personal contacts. So here at any point, I can click add contact right here. I can enter first, last name, and email. And now at any point when I go to create an envelope and type in, Scott Leroy's information is going to pop up for me automatically. Now there's going to be one last thing in terms of adding individuals, and that's going to be adding individuals to your DocuSign room. If you're working with a team and you need other team members to be added to your room, or if you have a transaction coordinator that you need to help you with these documents right here. So again, we're back inside that 123 Main Street. All I did was click on rooms, then I found that opportunity, I gave that a click, and then I made my way to documents here. So again, back to orienting ourselves to the kind of home page here of our DocuSign room. Right next to documents here, you're going to have people. And these are going to be people that you can invite to help work on your documents. Now, full disclosure, your market center is going to be in here. Please don't remove them. That's how your account works. So if you see market center administrator or something along the lines of your brokerage like this right here, that is completely to be expected, because your room owner is going to be your MCA who created and established the market center DocuSign account. But if you need transaction coordinators or other team members to join this room and have editable access, all we'll need to do is click on invite right here. We'll enter in the email, first name, last name, and what side of the transaction they're on. And this should also allow you to be able to select a room rule for them to be able to edit and help work on the documents for you or with you. Gosh, and I think I'll stop here. I think that's roughly about it in terms of DocuSign. Last but not least, once you're done completing documents right here, we can simply go back to our documents section inside of opportunities. Again, once we connect our DocuSign room, this automatically switches from my computer, which we were used to, over to DocuSign here, and you'll be able to select which folder you want to pull these forms from. Now, again, these will only present signed documents. Since we don't quite have any signed documents yet, nothing is kind of showing up for us. But once your documents come back to your DocuSign room signed, those will be available for you to pull into your opportunity and then submit to your market center to be reviewed and approved. All right. Thank you so much, you guys. If you have any additional questions, I'll stay for a few minutes at the end of class here. But for those of you, if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us at support@scottleroymarketing.com.